Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. What happens when a moment that seems simple, like a departure at the airport, actually holds so many details that draw attention? From steps that slowly fall into sync, to small gestures that almost go unnoticed, to accessories that seem ordinary yet feel too coincidental, all of it makes the interaction between Park Jimin and Jungkook this time feel different. The question then arises, is this purely coincidence, or is there something deeper behind it? As discussed before, BTS's departure to the United States this time felt like more than just a routine. Amid each member's busy schedule, public attention once again turned to Jimin and Jungkook, not because of anything staged, but because of small details that felt more honest, spontaneous, and hard to ignore. From the moment they appeared at the airport, the dynamic between them was already clear. Jungkook seemed to follow Jimin with his signature playful style, even lightly teasing him. Jimin, who initially walked at his own pace, gradually adjusted his steps until they were walking side by side. This simple moment seemed to shift the atmosphere, creating a sense of closeness that flowed naturally without needing to be planned. There were no grand gestures or striking actions. Precisely because everything appeared spontaneous, the moment felt more meaningful. In many situations, when someone acts without overthinking, their most genuine expressions come through. And here, their small interactions seem to say more than any deliberate action ever could. Attention then shifted to a detail that seemed trivial but sparked a lot of discussion: the necklaces they were wearing. Both appeared to be wearing accessories from the same brand, something that isn't new in their style. However, in the context of this moment, at the same time and place, the detail felt different. The camera captured it clearly, and from there, speculation began to grow. Was it just coincidence, or was there a certain meaning behind it? Jungkook's gestures added another layer of interpretation. At one point, he stood in front of the camera as if showing his necklace, then covered it again. The action felt ambiguous, not entirely intentional, yet hard to dismiss as coincidence. Meanwhile, Jimin stayed close beside him, walking at the same rhythm without needing any explanation. Everything felt natural, as if nothing needed to be emphasized. When two people share a strong connection, they don't need grand gestures to show it. The way they share space, the repeated coincidences, and their consistent closeness are often enough to reflect that bond. In this case, it is precisely the simplicity that makes everything feel deeper. It's not surprising that this moment gained widespread attention, even being discussed by several Korean media outlets. When small details like these go beyond the fandom and enter the media sphere, it means there is something compelling enough to be talked about more broadly. On the other hand, a more rational perspective also emerges. Some believe that clothing and accessory choices could simply be the result of stylist coordination. Even so, the context of departing from home, not from a set or photo shoot, opens the possibility that those choices came from them personally, or at least happened naturally without specific planning. As always, the relationship between Jimin and Jungkook exists in a gray area, not entirely clear, yet not entirely random either. They move within a subtle space where every gesture can carry multiple meanings, yet still feel sincere. Interestingly, speculation like this seems to grow stronger now, even though similar moments have happened many times before. This raises another question: why now? It could be that what has changed is not them, but the way people perceive them. Public perspectives evolve, and things once considered ordinary are now viewed through a different lens. Cultural factors are often brought into the discussion as well. Physical closeness in friendships is not unusual in Korea. However, the intensity, consistency, and naturalness shown by Jimin and Jungkook still feel unique, even within that context. At the same time, there was also a nostalgic moment: the return of Run BTS after such a long time. Seeing all 7 members together in one frame brought a special kind of happiness. Their laughter felt genuine, their interactions warm, and the simple games they played turned out to be exactly what fans had been missing. Yet amid that excitement, an old discussion resurfaced, one that had already drifted far from its original context. This was no longer just about what Yoongi said, but about how some people used that statement to build a narrative with no real basis. The original context was actually very simple. In a casual conversation, Jin mentioned bathing together, and Yoongi responded that he had done so with Jimin while they were in the United States. It was a light, spontaneous story. However, for some, this was immediately taken as major evidence without understanding the context. In reality, what was being referred to was a sauna, something very common in Korean culture. Activities like bathing together in public spaces are not exclusive. The members themselves have talked about it openly many times. If this is considered to carry special meaning, then the same logic should apply to everyone, not just one specific situation. This is where contradictions become apparent. Jimin often becomes the center of various speculations and is paired with many people. Small interactions like smiles or hugs are often seen as having hidden meanings. Yet when discussing the dynamics between Jimin and Jungkook, that same approach suddenly changes. In fact, their relationship isn't built on a single moment or a single statement. Their closeness has been formed over years, through shared experiences, time spent together, and repeated interactions. Many people sense a strong bond between them, even if it remains open to interpretation. Ironically, when those interactions become more visible, some people begin to downplay them. What was once considered evidence turns into just friendship. The standard of judgment seems to shift depending on who is involved. This is what makes the reaction to Yoongi's comment feel exaggerated. If logic were applied consistently, then all forms of closeness among members should be viewed in the same way. But in reality, that's not what happens. It's important to remember that the members have lived together, traveled together, and shared experiences for years. Their level of closeness and trust goes beyond ordinary friendship. Activities like sharing rooms, joking around, or going to the sauna together are part of a natural dynamic. In the end, the core issue lies not in what actually happened, but in how it is interpreted. It's not about understanding events objectively, but about fitting them into pre-existing narratives. As long as this pattern continues, even the smallest details can turn into major debates. On another note, there has also been an interesting development on an industry level. The collaboration between Amazon Music and BTS marks a significant step in the evolution of concert merchandise sales, especially in North America. The Just Walk Out technology allows visitors to take items without queuing, with sensors automatically processing payments. In addition, self-checkout lanes help speed up transactions, and merchandise stores outside the venue reduce crowd density. There will even be city-exclusive merchandise, adding sentimental value for fans. This collaboration highlights BTS's global influence, not only in music but also in industry innovation. It's no longer just about concerts, but about creating an evolving experience that keeps up with the times. Ultimately, that airport moment wasn't just about departure or accessories. What lingers is the impression of a connection, one that exists subtly without needing explanation. Regardless of how each person interprets it, one thing remains clear: Jimin and Jungkook's closeness shows through the simplest things. They don't need grand statements. Their language lies in the details: glances, synchronized steps, soft laughter, and small coincidences that keep repeating. And perhaps that's where its strength lies. Because in silence, without many words, they still manage to convey something that feels significant to anyone paying attention. In the end, it's not about how big their gestures are, but about the small things that feel the most genuine. That closeness exists without needing explanation, simply through the way they walk together, share moments, and understand each other in silence. So what do you think? Is this just coincidence? Or is there meaning behind it? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for the next Jikook Moments update.